2016 through 2020. We had record low unemployment, record wage growth. We had no inflation. It was below what the average was for any other president before. We had no inflation. We had no new wars, and the economy was booming. Kamala Harris, because what you don't talk about is that they've had a 92% turnover rate of the people that actually worked for her. In 2021, the number one headline for her was that they were having problems and people were quitting because they didn't like working for her because she was a difficult person and that she wasn't conducive to be around. Everything that she's been tasked with, she's failed on. She's the president of the Senate, but at the same time, she's voted on more tie-breaking votes for legislation of any vice president in history, yet we have the worst economy and the worst inflation when it comes to job growth and wages keeping up with the rate of inflation. We have record at more than any other time in our lifetime, immigration into this country illegally. We basically voting for a fourth term of Obama. And it's unfortunate because we hate so much the very person that was cool with everybody and they loved, the one that Oprah said that she was going to be the vice president for on her own couch. So he was the one that got Nelson Mandela out of a jam and flew him over here to the United States of America. It's funny because the very person that we hate is all based off of marketing and propaganda to make y'all believe something so that you vote against your own best interest. You can't even come up with something reasonable as to why you're voting for Kamala Harris. And no, she's not going to do nothing for black people. She didn't even marry a black man. She married a white man, which is cool. But how you going to use identity politics to shame black people to voting for you when you don't even align with them yourself? We don't even know if she black. And y'all still rolling with somebody that is preaching to y'all. Their number one message is reproductive rights so that you can have the right to be able to kill a baby, which you can control that by keeping your dick in your pants. That's amazing to me. We are so ignorant and so full of the Kool-Aid. I really absolutely am disgusted with men because we don't even have the balls to stand up for ourselves. And we talking women talking points. When we gonna drop our ball sacks and say, you know what? I would never have a conversation based off of voting for a woman off of reproductive rights. What are you, Tim Walz? You want to put tampons in boys' bathrooms too while we at it? We are supposed to be conservative with the way that we raise our families. But maybe it's just so many single mothers that enrage so many feminine men that nowadays we align with more or less women talking points. I'm just amazed and I'm just disgusted at our men because whenever I ask a Kamala Harris supporter, what you voting on, they start talking about abortion.
I mentioned a couple of things, but you highlighted.
Yeah, you talked about a bunch of stuff that you couldn't even substantiate. First of all, you're wrong because the taxes and the cost of living is going to go up when it comes to it at $25,000 because they're doing that in order to give migrants the opportunity to buy a first-time home, and it's not even going to be paid for by the federal government. The price of homes jack up as a result of it. I even start talking to the builders, and they hoping that Kamala Harris get in office because they're going to make record profits by jacking up the price, and it doesn't. Listen, we don't have a housing shortage. We have 1.8 million houses on the market right now. I know because I built them. I'm a builder. I build houses now. I know we have an affordability crisis, not a shortage of homes.
What is Trump going to do for Black people?
We don't want Trump to do anything for Black people. But if you really want to know, no. I'll answer the question. But if you really want to know, first of all, one of the things that he did is Opportunity Zone.
No. I'm not talking about the past. Right now, what is he going to put stuff in place for the future? If
he's not going to do anything specifically for Black people. I answered the question.
Okay.
But what he's going to do is benefit all Americans, which ultimately affect Black people also. When you look at these wars, we had no new wars under Trump, and so he's proposing it in the wars, which then has more tax dollars going to American citizens instead of going overseas. You won't have what's happening in Ukraine. You won't have what's happening in Israel. You won't have what's happening in Taiwan. More dollars is going to go to American citizens. So if you're asking me what he's going to do for Americans, he's going to do it for everybody. And that's the whole idea. We don't need Chinese manufacturers coming over here and dumping Chinese cars over here, which is ultimately going to kill the American car industry. You don't need Chinese people dumping steel over here because I got friends that work in the steel industry at Local 600 and their jobs is on the line and they looking to sell the company. He wants more manufacturing inside of the United States of America. And that way it actually generates more jobs. which then incentivizes you to have more children instead of them replacing your children with immigrants to do the jobs that you don't want to do. And so it's a trickle down effect. It keeps the American dollar circulating, and also it allows for us to have diplomacy with other countries instead of being warmongers. That's the reason why she endorsed by Liz Cheney. That's the party of war. That's why we continue to have these wars in the first place. So if you're asking me what they're going to do, they're going to do it for all Americans. And again, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm not voting for me. I'm voting for the future generations of what's to come after me, for my daughter. I'm straight. I'm going to be straight for the rest of my life. But what I do see is a dark future if we continue to be under this Democratic stronghold. And I don't want my grandchildren to be in that future of what I've already seen happening over the last 3 years. You don't get a promotion to do the shit that you were supposed to do when you was in office.